best internet radio station in the world.
Tomato podcast.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're live. Welcome back to the Tomato Podcast, episode 47. This is a really bizarre one because we have guests. We have guests. That's right. The budget has been increased and we now have guests. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm on my own today. Thank you very much, Faisal and Ian, for leaving me. But it's fine because I'm joined by an amazing individual. And I'm actually a fan because I watch the show that she was on religiously every year. And that show is The Apprentice. Everyone knows about it, of course. Started way back in America and then obviously brought onto the UK. And yeah, I'm really excited to have Iasha from The Apprentice 2019. Was it 2000? It was 2019, wasn't it?
Yeah. No. Wait a minute. Have I forgotten too?
That's all right. It's fine. It's the latest one anyway, so it's cool.
I got confused because it's 2020 now.
Yeah. No, I know. I think it was started in 2019, and because you guys, the show finished before Christmas, didn't it?
Yeah. So the final was right before Christmas.
Yeah, whatever. All right, cool. Perfect. Iasha, thank you very, very much for joining us. We did have a little bit of a hiccup with timings and stuff. Thank you very much, Shahin.
No worries, it's fine.
But yeah, Iasha, thank you very much for sparing some time. I was really excited to receive that message from you when I asked if you could come and join us. And yeah, like I said, I'm a massive fan of the show. I watch it every single year, and I must say, the last season, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. So, I mean, we didn't even get to introduce ourselves properly before you came onto the podcast. I like to do that. I like to just start it straight away so that everything's nice and natural. But yeah, my name's Farhan. Of course, we've met over the internet. And here we are again, meeting on the internet once more. And yeah, really, really nice to meet you. Welcome to the show. I do like to go on and on a bit, so you can butt in and stop me anytime. Okay?
No problem. Thank you. I'm really it's nice to be able to do something just like during lockdown because I am bored out of my mind.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, I don't know if you've checked our episodes out, but we went on a really long 9-month break. And since the lockdown started, Faiza, my co-host, she dropped me a message saying, look, I think we need to just start it up again. So here we are. We've started up again, and I've vowed that we will not stop until we're trending number 1 on the podcast, wherever.
Well, Boris says that you've got to have you can meet 6 people outdoors, so you probably have to do the podcast outdoors.
Yeah. And trust me, this is something that we've been trying to do, but obviously everyone's shook to meet up. So Zoom has been helpful to some extent. We used it last week, and it was shambolic because it took us 45 minutes to actually set up. But today it didn't take too long, so thank God. I mean, we literally spoke 10 to 3 or something, and I was just scrambling trying to make sure that this is up and running. Shout out to my wife who actually whose account I'm using, so I know you can see it says Yasmin's name on the top right corner, and you're probably thinking it's a bit weird, what's going on? But no.
I just assumed you had a co-host.
I actually have a co-host, but they've stood me up today. I don't know why. They've just no-showed. And the one
just
day...
like Shahin.
Say that again, sorry?
Just like Shahin.
Yeah, just like Shahin. Thank you very much, Shahin, once again. Now, he will be joining us a little bit later. But obviously, it's understandable, everyone has commitments. And, like I said, I'm really, really grateful that you guys have actually taken time out to come onto the show. Now, the Tomato Podcast is a show that isn't necessarily about its guests, but it is about the trending topics of the week. So we like to invite our guests on, and we're not one of those shows where we just want to interview you and we want to know everything about you. I'm sure there are hundreds of blog posts out there, Wikipedia pages, interviews that on the internet where people can go out and look.
The Sun, the Mirror, all reliable sources.
Yeah, exactly. You tell them. We can dig all into that. But this show, we like to hear from our guests, hear their perspectives about what's been going on in and around the world. So our motto is trending entertainment news. It's not really a motto. What would you call it? It's like a help me out here. A slogan?
A tagline?
Yeah, there you go, tagline. Thank you very much. This happens on a regular basis. I tend to forget words, so you might need to help me out. So that is our tagline, trending entertainment news. We discuss trending news during the week, and today we will be talking about a few things. Obviously, one of them being the coronavirus. But before we dig into all of that, Eid Mubarak. How was your Ramadan?
Thank you, Eid Mubarak.
Thank you very much.
Good. It was very, very different this year, obviously, because of social distancing and not being able to see family or friends.
Yeah, of course.
Got through it, and Eid was nice.
Yeah, it must have been really weird to just spend the whole day indoors. Or did you spend the whole day indoors? Because I know some people, cough me, didn't actually spend it indoors. I was a bit of a naughty boy, but... how was your one? What did you get up to?
I kind of like, in the beginning I was like, I'm going to go for walks, I'm going to go for a run, and I'm going to do all these things, and in the end I just ended up staying inside.
Fair enough. You know, sometimes it gets like that. But the weather's been really, really nice. And so we recently purchased a new house about a year and a half ago. And prior to that, we used to live in like a flat. So we never had like a garden or anything like that. And so this year, seeing like the sun's out and everything, it's been really, really nice to actually spend time in the garden. Like I bought a barbecue today. I've set that up. Because my brother-in-laws are coming around tomorrow, seeing as 6 people are allowed to be together, and we're gonna have a nice little get together, so that'll be nice. But other than that, how's your lockdown been?
Yeah, good. Speaking of barbecues, I went to my parents' barbecue yesterday.
Yeah.
And I forget how different Asian barbecues are.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Are you talking about like the number of food options?
And all sorts going on the barbecue.
Yeah, exactly. I went out today to do the shopping for tomorrow, and literally, because it's the first time I'm hosting a barbecue as well, I don't really know what to get and what not to get. So I just piled my shopping basket with so much stuff, and the bill ended up coming to like 75 quid. So I think I overdid it a little bit, but we'll find out tomorrow. Anyway.
It's better to have more than less.
Yes, absolutely. Hit the nail on the head. Now, I know you are, of course you are. You're a businesswoman. You know, you went on to The Apprentice. And I actually do want to hear a little bit about that. How did you find that experience? What was it like? It's such a cliche question, but...
I always just say that it was the craziest time of my life.
Yeah.
Like, I've never done anything like that before, and it was amazing and incredible, and I had so much fun doing it, but at the same time, it was stressful.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And draining, and it was hard. So you have very mixed emotions after you leave the show.
Pressurizing and high intense. So I like to go on about this. When I meet new people, this is one of the many few things that I can actually talk about. I was offered an interview to go on to The Apprentice many years ago, and I didn't end up going because I received the email, but I didn't see the email until the day before the interview. So it was one of my dreams back in the day to go into The Apprentice because, I like to think of myself as someone who's, savvy and entrepreneur and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I can imagine it being really, really, really high intense. And especially when you're living in the house with so many people who have one goal in mind, which is to win. So what was the house dynamics like when you're living amongst all of those people? Because when I watch stuff like Big Brother, it's like a social environment, people just, chilling, talking, gossiping, whatever. But what is it like in a business environment?
Social environment. Like, the kitchen is the hub of any house, and it was the hub of the Apprentice house as well. Everyone would gather around in the evening and chat and eat, and then it was exhausting because you just had a full day of filming as well. But everyone still found the energy to have a little bit of a mooch and a catch up. And I think the house vibe was so much more relaxed than when we were filming. So that was quite nice.
Because I always wondered, during tasks, you obviously have the main bulk of the task that you prepare for, and then you need to either present or sell. Does that all happen in one day? Obviously, it doesn't. You need to sort of go home, go to sleep, and then wake up and then do the selling part another day, isn't it?
Some of the tasks were a day, and some of them were a few days.
So, in the instances where you have the tasks going across a few days, what is it like in the house? Because obviously you've got two different teams fighting against each other, and within each team, tensions do tend to rise quite high on occasions. So, what is that like?
Well, I mean, there's always going to be people who are really hot-headed and, have a little argument in the house. But the crew do a really good job of separating everyone.
Oh,
so, like, that evening for dinner, one team will have dinner and then they'll go upstairs to bed.
Okay.
And then the other team will come and have dinner like you're in some sort of school.
Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah.
So, they try and keep us separated.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, nice. Nice to get a little bit of an insight on The Apprentice. I'm actually looking forward to it coming back. It's just one of those things you mark on your calendar. Well, it is certainly for me anyway. I love the show.
Yeah.
And
I don't think there will be one this year.
Say that again, sorry?
They would have. I don't think there will be one this year because of the coronavirus.
Because of the coronavirus, you're probably right. Yeah. Well, whenever it comes back, we'll be looking forward to it. Now, you are the founder of listen, before we get started, by the way, I have done 0% research into anything to do with you. And the reason I've done that is because I want to find out everything, not everything, but, I'd rather just be able to mingle and talk and find out like that rather than just doing loads of research. So I've had a little browse on your Instagram page, and I know that you have a fashion, a beauty brand called Insu Beauty.
Yeah, that's my company.
Is that something you started before you went onto The Apprentice, or how did that come about?
I started that when I got onto The Apprentice because I was like, shit, I need a business.
Yeah. Oh, so you started it just before you went on?
Yeah.
Okay, and the reason why you started it is because you knew you were going on to The Apprentice, so therefore you needed some sort of a business, right?
Yeah, I didn't just want an idea. I wanted to have started everything and to be at a really good stage, and just to be very, very serious about it.
Yeah.
But it worked in my favor in the end, because even though I didn't get Lord Sugar's investment, I still launched that business, and it's since gone on to do really well.
Yeah, you did, and I've had a look on your Instagram page, and it looks really, really nice. I'm someone who looks at things visually, and I like things to look visually attractive. So when I looked at your feed and the color scheme and everything to do with it, it looked really, really cool. So now explain to me, what is a beauty tech brand? I mean, I've heard of a beauty brand, but when I saw on your profile it said beauty tech brand, I was a little bit confused. Is there a difference?
So it's an electronic skin cleanser.
Right,
so,
okay.
Like you have sonic toothbrushes that vibrate to clean your teeth better. It's the same concept, but for the skin.
Right, okay, I get it. I guess so rather than using manual brushes and stuff, you've got technology that sort of does that for you. Yeah.
It cleans so much more better than you could ever just do with your fingertips.
Brilliant.
And it's just about taking that idea and developing it to see, what do people really want, and everyone has different types of skin. What could I do to make it even better? So it was a long process of creating that product, but I'm glad that it was hard and long, because it means that it's actually turned out really well.
Nice. Oh, that sounds really, really cool. And so how has your business been affected by the coronavirus? Because everyone's has. My wife's has. I've got a few things that I do on the side. They all have. Pretty much everyone's been affected by it. How has it impacted your business?
It's been so hard. So I have about 3 or 4 revenue streams.
Okay.
But for me, that almost every single one's been affected. The way that Insu Beauty's been affected is that, we've not been able to get stock from China because the factory's closed down. So we've had quite a long out of stock period. And people have been emailing me saying, when's it coming back? When's it coming back? When's it coming back? But finally now the factories are up and running. So we're hopefully going to be back in stock at the end of June. So I'm really, really thankful for that.
Yeah, you must be excited. It must be a really busy period now. And you mentioned that you have 3 or 4 income streams. I'm assuming that's other businesses.
So I also work for Kellogg's, the cereal brand.
Oh, cool.
That's my main job.
Nice.
So I work in sales for them, and I absolutely love it. And then the other ones are, I just manage a portfolio of investments for myself.
Nice.
So obviously, because of Corona, the market just tanked, and I was really sad. We'll talk about that.
Well, they say that usually when the market declines, that's probably the best time to invest.
Yeah, it is, and I definitely changed my portfolio quite a bit because of the virus. And I've invested in some things that I wouldn't have invested in before, mostly just because the market is down right now and it's probably a better idea to invest in something that's going to go up post-virus. Yeah,
I think I saw it in a movie once. But there we go. If things do really come true. Brilliant. Okay. Now, Iasha, thank you very much. Like I said, for coming on, for sharing with us a little bit about what you do. But the main reason why we're here is to discuss and try to be journalists about what's been going on this week. So this week, me and you will be discussing the coronavirus stuff. Well, of course we are, because, it's basically the center of everything that's been going on around the world. And one of the main little bits of news that's happened this week is Boris's old chum, his good old friend, Dominic Cummings, broke some rules. Naughty boy.
It's been everywhere, this.
Yeah, it has. Right, so do you know what he's actually, I mean, everyone knows what he's done.
Yeah, he took a bit of a trip, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He took a bit of a trip, a long trip.
A bit of a long trip,
260 miles to Durham. And this story is so bizarre. I was reading about it, and it just, I don't know, it's mind-boggling, because the guy says that the guy runs home on the 27th of March. He runs home from Downing Street because his wife is feeling really, really ill. So he goes home to check on his wife to make sure she's doing all right. She, after a couple of hours later, says that she feels better. So then he goes back to Downing Street. And then in the evening, when he's gone back home, discusses with his wife the situation. He then makes a decision to drive 260 miles to Durham because his child, he wants his child to be looked after, which is fair enough. But then the government guidelines on essential travel didn't include visiting second homes or going to make long distance travel. So, I mean, I think he broke that sort of ruling.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's right, especially if he's the guy who's creating the rules, to then go and break the rules. It's not sending out the right sort of message. Yeah, definitely not. And do you know what? What really boggles me and sort of upsets me a little bit is that he didn't even have a little bit of remorse towards the fact that I mean, if I was in his situation, right, I most probably, maybe would have done the same thing. Because it's my child and I know that I wanted him to be safe, I would have maybe disregarded the rules and bent them a little bit because I want my family to come first and be safe. But if I'm caught, I know that what I did was a risky thing to do because I risked getting caught. And not only that, it was wrong. Because there are millions of people in the UK that look up to me and that follow my example. So by breaking the rules, I would have felt at least responsible to say, all right, guys, I'll put my hands up. I made a mistake. I was looking out for my family because instinctively, that's the first thing that I thought of. But don't punish me for trying to take care of my family. But he didn't even say that. No, he didn't. He tried to justify it for a very, very long time.
Yeah, he did try to justify it for a very long time. And what made it worse is that the backing that he got from the Prime Minister and the Chancellor. What would you think about this Rishi Sunak guy? I mean, has he done for you? Have you been getting the right sort of backing from the government that you would have expected?
I don't know. I think the government, they're a little bit old school, aren't they? They're in their own little club, and if you dig into into their backgrounds, they all come from the same sort of educational establishment. So I feel like a lot of these politicians, that it's quite a tight knit circle, and they've got each other's back.
Yeah. So I mean, at the beginning of all of this, I felt the government were doing an amazing job. And the reason why I thought that is because they were handing out money left, right and centre, like...
Oh, yeah. Funding like we've never seen before. I think, absolutely hats off to them. It was the right decision to do, and they've supported so many businesses up and down the country. I think without that support, we would have been in a worse situation.
Okay. That is all good and well, but there are people that they've missed out. And people that are very close to me, like my wife, for instance, she has a children's cookery school. And so she goes to schools and she delivers after school clubs and she basically teaches children how to cook. And now, because she started her business a year and a half ago, and because she didn't meet the threshold, her business didn't make the amount that needed her to qualify to get this business the self-employment scheme, she's not receiving a penny from the government because she did that first year. In that first year of business, she didn't hit that threshold. But in her second year, she made 5 times, 10 times more than she did in her first year. Now, the government have missed her out. She's not receiving a single penny from the government. And now she risks her business going down underwater because they haven't considered her. I thought the government were doing an amazing job. But until sort of this episode happened, I was like, oh my God. I don't think people really realize until it happens to them, you don't really realize sort of the mistakes and the little grey areas that they might have missed.
I think what it is that when you throw together a scheme like this so quickly, there's a lot that you're going to miss. And I think that's what's happened. I think the question is what are they going to do afterwards? Now that they've rolled out the scheme in record-breaking time, what are they going to do for the people that they have missed out? And we haven't really heard about that. I mean, they did announce some additional loans for I can't remember what they're called, for smaller businesses that didn't qualify for the initial support. So I think they are looking at it, and it's important for people to speak out about it so that these government advisors do know about areas that have been missed.
So what do you think is going to happen afterwards? I mean, this is all good and well. Everyone's receiving, furlough money, self-employment money and grants and etc. About 6 months' time, what do you see happening?
Oh, no, I don't know. I think there's going to be a recession. And I know that's such a gloomy thought, but if you just look at the amount this government has borrowed just during coronavirus and compare it to the last 10 years, it's a really grim picture.
Yeah, it does seem like that, doesn't it? And it puts us young people in a really difficult place, because for those that were hoping to buy their first property, or for those that were saving to buy their first property or any other investment, this really does put us in a difficult situation, because in about 5-10 years time, when we're expected to start a family, maybe start a business of our own, we have now been put back 5 or 10 years. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in that situation now where I'm thinking of buying soon and moving somewhere a bit more permanent.
Yeah.
And I mean, if there is a recession, borrowing's going to become cheaper, so that it works in your favour. But that the housing market might stagnate a bit. I mean, it really depends on where you are, with prices. But I think in terms of just buying a house. I don't think that'll be the worst aspect. I think where we'll see the more damage is in our ability to progress in our careers,
Yes.
in the revenues that our businesses are creating.
Yeah.
And I think people's income streams are going to be hit hugely. And I think that's where a lot of the damage comes from when there's a recession.
I didn't even think of that. So that's something else to worry about. So whereabouts are you based at the minute?
I live in Media City, in Manchester.
Okay. Is that where you think you're going to settle down?
No, I'm thinking of like moving slightly because I'm still quite central.
Yeah.
I'm only about 10 minutes away from the city centre.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of like sort of more outskirts. I'm getting to that age now. I'm nearly 30, so
Okay.
I'm thinking like 30s, suburbs.
Yeah.
Sophisticated Sarah life.
Fair enough. I had there's a stage in my life where I wanted to actually move over to like a different city, maybe like a year ago, 2 years ago. I did have a brief thought of like moving over to like maybe Manchester or stuff, only because the house prices are so much cheaper. What is it like?
It's a great life. Honestly, my sister lives in London and I spend a lot of time working in London.
Yeah.
And honestly, Manchester, I would never trade it. There are much better opportunities in London, but the quality of life and the standard of living in Manchester is just lovely.
Okay. All right. So I might need to come up to have a little look. I've been wanting to for a while. And actually, you know, I do love it. I really do. You can never ever take the city out of me because it's something like you grow up adapting to. So where I was born, which was pretty much the center of London, everything was just manic all the time. And I've adjusted to that. And now I've moved out to Essex. I don't know if you know Essex.
Yeah, I know. Everyone knows Essex.
Yeah, of course. Like, so Romford, right? So I've moved over to Romford now, and everything is just so much more quiet and so much more slower. And I don't know why. I really like it. I didn't think I would, but I really like it. And so now I'm wondering, am I going to like? Is there a possibility of me moving out of London entirely and enjoying it elsewhere? I don't know.
I think what's really nice about cities like Manchester is that even if you live on the outskirts of Manchester in the suburbs, it's like 20 minutes to get to the city centre. Yeah. Whereas in London, like with the traffic and everything, could be like an hour and a half. Yeah,
you're bang on. It literally takes me on a good day in the mornings during rush hour, it takes me an hour and 20 minutes to get into London.
See, that's enough to put you off going for dinner with some friends in the city.
Oh, it's bad. It's really bad. But then when I go into the centre, I don't go home until the very evening, until I know that I don't need to do anything else. So I guess there you go.
Like there's a full day out.
Yeah, exactly. Now, okay, moving on from this Dominic Cummings guy. Do you think he should have resigned? What do you think?
I think the country's at a very, very weak point at the moment. And I think if he resigned, it would put us in a weaker position. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has done wrong, but I think we need to think about the good of the country at the moment. Mm-hmm. And, you know, chopping and changing who's in charge is probably not a good idea right now. So but, you know, maybe he'll answer in the future.
You're a very sensible person because I think 90%, including myself, would have just been like, I don't want to see this guy's face ever again. But you make a very, very rational point, which is, you're right. We're in a really difficult situation. Who's going to take his place when he leaves? Someone else has to advise the Prime Minister.
Yeah, and then they're just going to, you know when you start a new job and you don't know what the hell you're doing?
Yeah.
It's going to be
trust me, I know. My job history, I think I've had 7 or 8, and I don't stay in one place for longer than a year. I'm lucky I've settled down now, but about a year and a half ago, I would just change. I've been in every sector you can think of, other than retail. Funnily enough, other than retail, I've been in every other sector. So, fun fact.
I think that is quite typical of the current generation. Yeah. The older generation was very, very loyal, but for us, we chop and change, and it is better for your career, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
because
I
I
think
get
it
scared.
helps you to advance.
Yeah, no, but I get scared when I apply for like if I want to apply for a different position at a different company, my thought process is like, well, why would they take me on if they can see that I've been moving on, after a year or so? Do you know what I mean?
I think it's pretty normal now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to touch on a subject now, which is, but I think a lot of people from ethnic backgrounds, and especially women, those who traditionally have struggled in the workplace, changing jobs actually, works in their favor. Because if they are being held back, because of unconscious bias and things like that, applying for another role can open up opportunities that they never would have been able to achieve.
Yeah, okay. No, I understand. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Again, 2 points for you. Rational thinking. I need to try that myself.
Everyone always says I'm really professional.
No, you really are very sensible. That's what you are. Not professional, but very, very sensible. And I like it.
I don't know. Is that boring?
No, it's not boring at all. What are you talking about? No. I think in this world, we get so carried away with like just bantering all the time. Like there needs to be some time where people actually just stop, think, act. So I think you need to. Have you ever thought of maybe going into like into politics?
Oh my God, no.
Really?
No, I can't handle having a public image, as I learned from The Apprentice.
Yeah. No, but what's it like? What's your life been like since Apprentice? I mean, it must have been
it's been busy. Post-Apprentice, I did a lot of talks and a lot of different business clubs and events. I think that's where like my professionalism really comes in, because I really love teaching other people about how to advance their own careers and businesses and good ideas to help them improve their lives. So it's been a lot of that for me.
Would you feel, this is again another really cliche question that everyone asks, and I would hate if someone asked me, but what do you see yourself doing in about 5 years time? What's your goal? What do you want to accomplish
in 5 years time?
Like, tell me your number one accomplishment that you would want to do
in 5 years time. I couldn't say.
Do you have a dream, like one
Sorry,
dream?
I'm outdoors.
Say that again. No, that's fine. It's fine. That's not a problem.
In 5 years' time, I think that...
Okay, let's not say 5 years' time. Let's just say in your whole lifetime, what's one thing that you want to accomplish?
Oh, that's just crazy. In my lifetime, I think I would like to see the next generation. I'd like to see life be easier for them. A lot of the work that I do is around like advocacy for... women, for ethnic minorities, for problems which are very, very much, alive today. And I always think, look at where I am today. Look at this wonderful life that I have. I have everything I ever wanted. But I'm only here because of the sacrifices of other people, whether that's the people who secured Britain's freedom, whether that's the suffragettes who fought for women's rights, and all of these hundreds of people who probably had an impact on my life on making it this good. I think I want to have that impact on the next generation. I want to do my part to speak out and to do the right things so that the next generation is just slightly easier for them. And then for me, that would be life complete.
You're a G, You're a real G. I have to put it out there. Sorry, my ghetto-ness is coming out. I was trying to, remain a little bit professional, a little bit reserved on myself, but hats off to you, man. I really appreciate that. And you're absolutely right. Because I'm very, very, very passionate about inequalities, not just within the workplace, but inequalities in life in general.
Yeah, everywhere.
For everywhere, especially for people within, I say our background, but ethnic minorities, especially for ethnic minorities. And it's something that we're going to talk about. And unfortunately, you might not be here to discuss it, but I really wanted to touch on Black Lives Matter and this the way that it's resurfaced, because obviously this is a movement that started a while ago, died down a little bit, or recently it's come up. let's move on to it. Let's move on to it because this it's a nice little transition, and when Shahin comes, we can finish off lockdown stuff. There's not really much to talk about lockdown, to be honest, other than 6 people together, blah blah blah, retail shops opening. I mean, car showroom.
Oh, I can't wait for that. Non-essential shops reopening.
Yeah, you looking out to get yourself a brand new car?
No, not. I love homeware stores. I'm obsessed with them.
Yeah,
I can
same.
spend hours and hours in them.
Yeah,
just
same.
Looking at things for the house.
Exactly. I could do exactly the same. When we bought this house about a year and a half ago, it was completely different to how it was now. And don't listen to what anyone else tells you or what anyone else might tell you. But I designed every inch of this property, and I think it looks pretty damn good.
I'd have to see it to be sure.
No, I will. I will show. No, do you know what? I will show you pictures because I've got a little scheme going on, a little color scheme. You know what I'm saying? The furnitures haven't come in just yet. Not all of it, but the whole layout and stuff, the structure of it, it's looking pretty lit. So I will send you some pictures over and you can be the judge of that. Now,
I have a lot of Instagrams of the place, the little flat that I live in, because I went with a little colour scheme as well. I'm really proud of it.
Have you got pictures up on your Instagram?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll check them out.
Somewhere, I think it's on the story section.
Yeah. All right, cool. I'll check them out. No, because I'm a sucker as well for these home interior decor kind of stuff as well.
Well, it's nice because if you think about it, it's where you spend most of your time. And I always think the more time I spend somewhere, the nicer it has to be.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, that's my excuse for buying expensive mattresses and duvets because you spend the most time in bed.
Invest in yourself, man. You got to invest in yourself. You don't have a good night's sleep, you can't be productive the next day.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. I recently bought myself a little projector for my room.
Oh, yeah, they're good then.
I'm telling you, banging.
Little home cinema.
Yeah, home cinema. And do you know what? I can point it up to the ceiling. So when I'm laying down, I can actually watch it on the ceiling, and it's a game changer. So if there's one investment you want to make in 2020, get yourself a projector.
I don't think I could fit a projector anywhere in my tiny apartment.
I mean, but the beauty about these things is that they can reduce and extend in size. So you'll find the right one somewhere. Anyway.
I think the lighting situation, basically, my apartment is surrounded by windows. It's the brightest thing ever. You can't even see my TV.
Well, that's good. I mean, I my preference to having sort of large windows and windows everywhere would be to have them everywhere because the more natural light that comes into the property, it just makes it look more alive. That makes sense?
Yeah, but that's what I thought when I was getting this apartment, and now I just think there's too many windows. I can't make it dark.
Get some blinds, man.
The blinds don't work well enough. I have got blinds, but it's still too light in there.
Fair enough. I mean, you can't win them all, Iasha, you know?
I know. You can't have everything.
Another thing, actually, I just wanted to ask you about is your name. I've never seen anyone's name who's Iasha being spelt with an Iasha.
Yeah, you can thank my dad for that. He wrote it wrong on my birth certificate.
Really? So that's a spelling mistake?
Yeah.
But it's so funny you mentioned that because the same mistake happened to my mum.
Really?
The same mistake happened to my... And it's all my dad's fault as well. Because obviously she came from Bangladesh, and when they were registering her name, her last name is Yasmin. It's really, really weird. Her first name is Sabina and her last name is Yasmin. And they ended up spelling her last name, instead of Yasmin, it was Yeasmin. So instead of Yasmin, yes, really weird. And it should have been Yasmin. So like every single time when we go to sign papers or anything and they ask for her last name and she signs it and she writes it down, I'm just like, oh God. I wonder what the other person is thinking. Like, yeah.
I think that's a trait of ethnic parents writing their kid's name wrong.
Yeah. My brother's got two names for some reason. I don't know how that came about. My mum named him
double-barreled.
So, yeah, it's weird. My mum named him one thing, and then my grandma named him another thing. So it's like we got half of the family calling him one things, and then half of his family calling him another. Really weird. But there you go.
It's two actual two separate names. It's
he's
not
got two separate names. Yeah, he's got two separate names. I'll just go around. Yeah. But there you go. That's Asian families for you. So, you will be needing to shoot off very soon. But before you do that, I really do want to finish off this lockdown section. And I want your thoughts on the easing of the lockdown. Because obviously Boris Johnson announced that from Monday, 6 people will be allowed to, roam around together. Schools will be opening as well. Retail shops will be opening in about 2 weeks' time. And the scientists are telling us that he's making a grave mistake because they would have preferred to ease the lockdowns when the cases come down to about 1,000 a day. And at the minute, the cases are being reported to be about 8,000 a day. So scientists are...
Yeah, I understand. And the scientists, they do have a very valid point. But I think the scientists need to go and talk to the sociologists because people will not stay indoors for that long. They won't stay under lockdown for that long. They'll start breaking those rules anyway. And it's just, I think it's just going to be like snowball, a few people, and then those people see other people out, see other people, and pretty soon everyone will just be ignoring the lockdown. And I think that will be a far more difficult situation for the country to be in than just to be like, okay, you can have groups of up to 6 people and you can do some things but not all things. So they're slowly, I think it's clever because they're slowly giving people back more freedom. But it keeps people engaged. It keeps them committed to social distancing and all these difficult things that we have to do. I think it's the right choice, but I do understand it from the scientist's perspective that yes, it would be much better if we just didn't ease the lockdown, but humans aren't like that.
Oh, look who it is. If it isn't Mr. Shahin Hassan. Have you spoken to Shahin before?
Shahin!
Have you spoken to him since you guys went?
I think a little bit on Instagram.
Yeah. Well, here he is, the man himself. Hello, mate. How are you?
How you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, very well, very well. You've just joined us mid-conversation. We're talking about the lockdown and whether we think it's a good idea that the easing process of it all should be happening now or a little bit later. Right. And Iasha just made an amazing point. Do you want to repeat yourself? Or?
Yeah, I think what it is with the lockdown is, I always say that the scientists are completely right. We shouldn't be easing the lockdown, but I would say the scientists need to talk to the sociologists because people, the nature of us is that we won't allow ourselves to be locked in and under this sort of, intense pressure for so long. Eventually people are going to start to break the lockdown because, they're so fed up. And those people, will see other people, and they'll think, oh, it's okay to break the lockdown. And it'll snowball in effect. And I think it's just the nature of humans. So that's why I understand why they're slowly easing it and they've still got these restrictions because we're much more likely to follow it if they're giving us a little bit but still having, up to 6 people, no restaurants, bars yet. And, there's still rules, but because there's a little bit more freedom, we're more likely to follow it. And I think that's very clever on the government's part.
Very well said. So, do you guys want to say hi to each other? It's very rude to just skip introductions.
Hey, long time no see, speak. Yeah, good. How are you? You okay?
Yeah, good.
It's like a little reunion. I feel like I've accomplished something getting you guys together. Actually, funny fact, Lubna was supposed to come on as well, but I didn't hear back from her. So that would have been really cool if before you guys got together.
Yeah, I saw Lubna quite a bit at some various events before the lockdown.
Yeah. Man, this is nice, isn't it? We're all here together. I feel like I'm now a part of the Apprentice crew. Is that okay? Are you guys able to,
Yeah, of course.
I'm all right with it.
Yeah. Sorry, Shahin, I was telling, is that how you pronounce your name? Or Shahin?
Shahin, yeah, that's fine.
Shahin.
Yeah. Eva, Shahin's fine, yeah.
Shahin, okay. So I was telling Iasha that many years ago, I applied for The Apprentice and I actually got an interview to go on the show, but I didn't realize I received the email until the day before the interview. So
Really?
I was just scrolling through my emails and I saw it. I was like, oh my God, I've got an interview to go on Apprentice tomorrow. I haven't prepared for anything. I ended up not going. But yeah, there you go. Maybe I could have been a winner. Who knows?
Who
Hey,
knows?
you could always apply again.
Nah, I don't know, man. I feel like it's a bit late for that now, to be honest.
It's never too late for anything. Yeah, just apply. You never know.
I don't know, man. I just don't like the idea of like being locked away for how many weeks was it, by the way?
For me, it was a week.
Yeah, no. I'm just talking about the process itself. The whole process itself.
I think it's like 5 weeks for me.
No way.
Yeah.
Only.
But like, you know when you first apply from there on, I mean it's quite a long process. It's a lengthy process. And imagine you going to a graduate assessment, right? Okay. It's like that. And it's quite intense. You have to do all sorts of things. And so from the minute you start your application, it starts from there, to be honest with you. So, I mean, the actual time you're in, doing the tasks and stuff, obviously that's, you do that. But, you are mentally preparing yourself from the day you submit your application. Yeah.
Well, I know I wasn't. And it didn't take me very far either, so, all right, listen. Thank you very much for joining us, Shahin.
No worries.
For giving us your time as well. Really, really appreciate you responding to the message as well.
Yeah, sorry, I had to do something.
No, don't apologize. It's honestly a pleasure. It's a pleasure having you.
What were you doing, Shahin?
Hey,
tell him off.
That you had to miss the podcast.
Hey, no, I was trying to sell something.
Typical. Should have guessed, man.
All right, businessman.
I sold it as well.
Oh, there you go. Job done. Well, at least you're in a good mood. All right. So before you came on, we were just discussing the coronavirus and Dominic Cummings and basically what's going to be happening the next few weeks on what we think will happen. But now we're going to be moving on to actually, seeing as you're here, Iasha, I wanted to implement a little quiz. It's called the TT Pod Halftime Quiz, courtesy of Jose Del Aziz.
Okay.
And it's basically 3 questions about things that have been happening this week that I wasn't able to squeeze into the show. And yeah, it's like I said, it's just a little halftime little thing. 3 questions, see who gets them right, see who wins. A little bit of a competitive thing. Seeing as you both went on Apprentice, thought it'd be good fun. So, you guys ready?
All right, I'm ready.
All right, cool. So, question 1. Oh, and by the way, if you do know the answer, I don't know, maybe we should have like a buzzword, like Lord Sugar. You have to say Lord Sugar, right?
Right.
Okay. So, number 1. The worst company for customer service during this lockdown has been A, Virgin Media, B, Swarovski, or C, HMRC.
Lord Sugar.
Iasha, off you go.
HMRC.
Lord Sugar, Virgin Media.
Oh. I must say, this is a close one, but I'm going to have to give it to Iasha.
Well done.
Because the waiting like queues on HMRC is just ridiculous. Although they have implemented the new, I don't know if it's new or not, but they've some one of the agents sneakily told me that there's a little leeway of getting out of the queues, which is their online web chat portal. I don't know if you guys know about it. Do you guys know about the web chat portal?
No, I will ring them and put up with it.
You will not need to wait hours ever again. Maximum 10-15 minutes. You go on the web chat, you talk to an advisor. I must say 50% of the time they are useless. They will not give you the answer you're looking for. They will tell you to call up, but on your off chances you may be able to find answers. So
this is a good tip.
There you go, guys. You see, there's benefits to coming onto the TT pod.
Thanks for that.
Now, the question number 2. KSI released his debut album this week. What is the name? Is it A, assimilation, B, dissimilation, or C, I knocked out Logan Paul?
I don't know, man.
I have no idea.
There's no
But
one
if
gonna- no one wants to guess? Nope.
Okay. So what was it?
A, assimilation, B,
Okay.
dissimilation, or C, I knocked out Logan Paul. Everyone, you guys know who KSI is, right?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know.
Guys,
I'm sorry.
you're so young now, man. KSI, the YouTuber, you know, the guy that had the big
Hey, Lord
boxing
Sugar.
match.
Lord Sugar.
Oh, you go on, Shahin. Go on, Shahin.
Is it dissimulation?
And you're by off chance, you're not on the internet, are you? You haven't
No, my hands are here. Look.
Your hands are all right.
There was a bit of a delay in my answer.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to give you that point because I mean you did give the answer. Although you cheated,
Oh yes.
so it's 1-1 now, and it all comes down to the final question, which is: Doja Cat has been allegedly participating in a racist chat room. What was the chat room called?
Who?
Was it A?
Who?
Doja Cat. She's like a R&B singer. No, don't try and Google it. Don't try and
I'm
Google it.
googling it.
Don't try and Google it. You can't, man.
I
Give me a
can't even spell a name.
Give me a
I've
chance
just
to give you the
got
answer.
Doja Cat. Go on then.
Doja Cat, right. So what was the chat room called? Was it A, Tiny Webs, B, Massive Webs, or C, Hush?
Don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
Come on,
I
guys.
don't even know.
Doja Cat, she's like an R&B singer. So basically, she was recently, allegedly, she was caught out on being part of a web chat room where she was entertaining like a lot of racist right-wing people. Which is obviously quite bad for her reputation because she is quite big in that scene. So this is the final question. You're both on level scores. Is anyone going to take that?
I don't know. I'd have to Google it.
Lord Sugar.
Yes, go on, mate.
Give us the three options again.
So it's is it A, Tiny Webs, B, Massive Webs, or C, Hush?
Hush.
You're wrong.
Oh man.
Hush, the
Tiny
ball's in your
Webs.
court. Is it A or B?
A or B?
Yeah.
What are the options?
Tiny Webs or Massive Webs?
I'm just going to say Massive Webs because it sounds more R&B.
Nah, you're wrong.
Oh,
Tiny
no.
Webs. You guys are level, man.
Man.
We
In
tied.
terms, it's a draw. It was a tie. Sorry, I don't have no tiebreaker. I didn't actually foresee this happening. Maybe I should have. But it's the first quiz that we've had on the Tomato podcast. So yeah, things to work on, I guess. So Shahin, on our show, we discuss trending topics on a weekly basis.
Okay.
So we will not be discussing. We will not be spending an hour discussing about you, although I would love to. But that's not the way that we run the show. So we're just really keen to hear about your perspective about what's been happening lately. But before I do that, I'll just quickly like to say Eid Mubarak.
Eid Mubarak.
And how was your Ramadan? I've written it down here. So Aisha, I know you're thinking, he asked me those same questions, but I've written these questions down specifically. So I just like an
It's good. It's organised.
That's really good.
It's nothing. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, Ramadan was really good. It was quite strange, obviously, given with COVID and the lockdown. Things were different in terms of meeting family. I don't live with my parents, so it was really weird not being able to have iftar together, for example.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was really different because obviously you can't go to the mosques, you can't pray. So from that perspective, it was really different. However, you had more time to spend with your family within your own household, and that was good.
Sweet.
So it was different, but and it's a Ramadan which you may not have to experience again.
Yeah, I don't think we will, to be honest. It's bizarre, isn't it?
I don't know, guys. I don't think this is the last pandemic.
Really?
No,
Tell us your
I think
theory.
in our lifetime, at least one more.
Maybe. I mean, in a situation where there isn't a vaccine, maybe.
I mean, look, you look around the amount of pollution and stuff around the world. You know, actually, you do make a strong case.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm waffling. Do pandemics come from pollution? Maybe. Who knows? Maybe I've just predicted one. Maybe. So how have you been coping?
What's going on in those clouds?
Yeah, I mean, it's surprising. Have you guys noticed the change and the difference in the atmosphere? I haven't, but some people have.
I think the sky is clearer.
Yeah, I've seen some pictures of before and after, and there is a massive difference, especially over like India, where it's just heavily polluted cities, and there's definitely cleaner air, especially in like cities like London and Birmingham, where vehicles are the main polluters in those cities.
Is that where you're situated? Are you situated in Birmingham?
I'm Birmingham based, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I could tell a little bit of that. I can hear the little accent.
Brummy accent, yeah.
Yeah. So you've got Birmingham, Manchester and London. The question is, what's the best city?
Birmingham.
Manchester.
Birmingham.
I have to be honest with you guys. Yeah, I think we all know it is London. But I think Manchester does come close. I don't really know about Birmingham. I'm sorry.
Let's just meet in the middle, yeah?
Because I remember going to Birmingham when I was younger. I think I've got some relatives over there. And I don't know, it's just a bit like... But you've been to London, so what? I mean, there must be a massive difference between London and Birmingham, surely.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I mean, I've lived in London, so I appreciate London is an awesome city. But I guess I might be a bit biased because I've grown up in Birmingham, but it's a beautiful place. It's you can travel across the country. You're in the centre. You've got Shakespeare. You've got
we've got Shakespeare Globe here as well, by the way.
Yeah, but Shakespeare was born in Stratford. It's just about
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, then that's one thing.
I didn't know that.
Didn't you? Yeah. Some of the most iconic cars are made in the Midlands.
You're really selling it, man.
Aston Martin, the Range Rovers.
Are you a car person?
I am.
Okay, you're a motorhead. You're like my brother, man.
Well, yeah, I've worked in the automotive industry for a while, but
okay.
So bit of a car fanatic. Yeah.
So, but at the minute, your business is Tiger Chai. Is that right?
Do you know what? I run a couple of things. So I recently, I left my full-time professional job, which I was in product development for Jaguar Land Rover up until December, but then I decided to help my father in his laundry business. So he's retiring, so I'm helping him just build on that, and then I'm doing some property development. So just before COVID, I had a venue that was ready. So, but that's going to be on hold until we can do gatherings. Yeah. And then next to that building, the plan was to open up a restaurant, which was planned for like a later day in the year. But because of the situation, I thought I might as well make the most of it, and then and launch that now. So Tiger Chai is something that I've been working on over the past 6 months, and inshallah should be ready in the next 4 weeks.
What's the food concept for it?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask
that. It's street food, Indian street food, with some homemade desserts that you'll get in South Asia, basically. And it's to serve the local industry. There's a lot of factories, a lot of businesses around central Birmingham. It's literally half a mile from like the city centre, where you get your Bullring Centre, and so I think it should catch on with the locals there.
I love Indian street food, so I look forward to trying it.
Yeah, definitely. And if you want, I'll send you some samples.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I love free food.
Yeah, of course. I'll send you both.
There you go. So I just want to get this right. Is it mainly desserts, or is it just Indian street food as a whole?
It's desserts and street food.
Okay.
The reason why I did desserts because I'm a massive dessert fan. I love sweets.
Yeah.
I've got a sweet tooth, so I thought, well, combine both of them and offer the best of both.
Yeah.
So So
I had a very similar business idea I wanted to execute in the next few years, and I'm going to pitch it to you. I want you to tell me if it's a good idea or not. It's very, very similar. And the name of the cafe or the restaurant, or whatever you want to call it, it's going to be called Mars Cafe. And the concept behind it is that we have a lot of delicious treats, goodies, little snacks here and there at home for when our guests come over, or for when it's Eid or whatever occasion it is. We have so many nice little treats that you can never find in restaurants or cafes, because they're just never on the menu. What if we made a cafe or a restaurant or something just, like street food style, where everything that you would have in your own house, in an Asian household, you can get outside? Because there's many little things that I'm sure you might not have tried from my household, because my mum, she likes to invent things, every year. She comes up with these little nibbles here and there, put her own little Asian twist on it. You know what they do? Put curry powder in it. All of a sudden, it's Asian.
That's what my mum does with shepherd's pie. Puts curry powder in it.
Exactly. With anything, man, even pasta.
It's a good idea, though, definitely. And I think, you know what? I mean, I'm not big on Instagram or anything, but there's a lot of bakers and cooks who are massive on Instagram, and they are doing exactly what you're saying. So what you'd see at home, what your parents would make, or what you'd make, they're really popular. And but you're right, in the cafes and restaurants, you might not see that. So definitely, it's a good idea, and you should follow it through.
Most Indian restaurants, they all have the same bog standard menu: chicken madras. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've never had a vindaloo, a madras, or a karai at my house. It's just a bog standard chicken curry, isn't it?
It's true.
It's true, though, isn't it? So it's like, there needs to be a restaurant out there that just has a set menu that you would just have at your house, and that's why I love Malaysian food, because Malaysian curry, I don't know if you guys have tried Malaysian chicken curry. It's exactly like the curry you would have at home. It's amazing. I don't know how they've done it.
I've never tried that. No,
you need to. I'm telling you.
Nasi lemak? That's nice. That's a nice Malaysian dish.
What's that?
The nasi lemak. That's quite popular, isn't it?
I don't know it.
It's a famous Malaysian dish.
I think you're pronouncing it a bit. Your pronunciation might be a bit off, but is it with the roti? Roti canai?
No, man. Nasi lemak.
Nah, you see, you've lost me now. I need to see the picture before I can. But there you go, people.
Yeah, nasi lemak. That's like the nation's dish.
All right. Well, maybe I haven't reached that stage of cultural understanding just yet.
Neither of us.
Fair enough.
Would you say you're a massive foodie? I mean, you must be, since you've got
me.
Yeah.
Me. I guess so. Yeah, I do like eating and stuff, and my dad's had restaurants and stuff. But me personally, I've not run restaurants. I've worked in them. Yeah. This Tiger Chai concept came about because I just had an idea, and I had some space which I've converted. Had to go through the whole planning application, etc. And so for me, it's about delivering the concept, executing it, and then making sure that the product is right for the customers and the followers. So it's a passion I've got, and for me it's about the execution, and that's what I like doing, developing new products and services. You're
from Bangladesh, right?
Bangladeshi. Sylhet. Snap. Yourself?
Basically related now.
Yeah, definitely.
The way you just looked at him. Okay.
Have you been to Bangladesh or?
I've been twice, and not very recently. I think 12 years ago was the last time I went. So nice. A very long time ago. What about you? Are you very are you very like a Bengali cultured individual?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Obviously, we've got traditions and some of the cultural things that you do. You continue doing that, and I do like going to Bangladesh. I haven't been there in a while, to be honest with you. Last time I went was in 2014.
Okay.
But yeah, every time I go, it's always changing, as all big cities or developing countries are. But yeah, I've definitely got a bit of culture.
What about you, Aisha? I know you got a Pakistani background, haven't you?
Yeah, Pakistani background.
Would you
Haven't been for many years.
Yeah, I was going to say, would you describe yourself as someone who's sort of very cultured in your background?
I think, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's natural when you grow up in that sort of environment. It's just second nature to you. You don't even question a lot of it. And I've got quite a big family, one of 7 sisters. So we're always hanging out, and just our culture is a big part of it. And just everything from food to clothes, and just absolutely anything. But I think it's nice.
I think I'm the odd one out here. So being Bengali and living up in North London, I think I missed that cultural sort of that culturalization. Is that even a word? It is, isn't it? Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
Culturalization, right? So cultured, right? So because I was brought up in North London, and in London we have a specific area where all the Bengalis live, which is East London. And I'm sure you know, Shahin, most like Whitechapel and stuff like that.
Do you know what? When I went to university, I lived in East London for a bit. So
which uni did you go to?
I went to King's College. I went to Queen Mary's and then King's College.
We might be related, I went to Queen Mary as well.
Oh, awesome.
When did you graduate?
2005. That was a while back.
Wow, you look really, really young. Like, you look like you're like 22, 23.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Right. I'm still sending you those desserts. Yeah, don't worry. You don't need to button me up.
No, I'm being deadly serious. But nice. So you went QO and then you went King's College. And obviously, so you must know about the famous chicken chops on Stepney Green.
There's a PFC.
PFC and Spice Hut. Spice
Hut. Yes, Spice Hut. And that, you know what? Down Whitechapel Road was the first time I tried the Nagadonna. The Donna meat. Yeah, that was the first time I tried it back in 2001.
That's their trademark,
Real taste. That's it.
Real taste. Yes.
There's a chip shop called Real Taste, and you know what? It was awesome. It was
banging, innit?
Yeah. I mean, even when I came back to Birmingham in 2005, they didn't have any of this. The Donna meat. The Naga
exoticness
style.
Because it's a game changer. It's a total game changer. Now what they've done, they've marinated their kebab in curry sauce. It's incredible.
Awesome.
It's incredible.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
No, trust me, it's flavoursome, because usually when you have a normal kebab, it turns a bit dry after a while, innit? Like 5-10 minutes after you've just finished your chips, your kebab's just getting all crispy. But with the Asian kebabs, what they do, they marinate it in like curry sauce, spicy sauce, whatever it is, Mr. Naga, and it's amazing. The moisture stays on it and it just melts in your mouth. So you lot, whenever you come down to East London, shout me. And we'll go to get some Donna chicken. Do you know what I'm saying?
All right, yeah.
Wicked.
Deal.
Okay, let's actually get down to the nitty-gritty bits, which is our number 2, our other main topic, which is discussing the Black Lives Matter campaign that's resurfaced recently in the last week. And it's resurfaced in quite an extraordinary way. I actually forgot how it came about not many years ago, but a couple of years ago. I know it must have been a couple of years ago, because it died down ever since. But recently, I don't know if you guys heard about the black man, George Floyd, who was killed by the white officer.
It's so tragic, and there's the riots that are going. Well, not riots, protests that are happening right now across the states.
Where did you guys first hear about this story? I'm interested to know.
I think it's just like it sort of came up on my Apple News and I read it.
Yeah. What about you, Shane?
Yeah, same. Through the media news. Yeah.
So when I first heard about it, I was on Twitter, just scrolling down a timeline, and this George Floyd was trending, and this was when it recently just happened, and they had the full video of the actual episode happening. So the police officer was sort of kneeing George Floyd on the neck.
Yeah, I saw that. It was horrific.
Yeah, and I watched the full video. It was about 4 or 5 minutes long, and you could sort of see him drifting out of consciousness. And for me, this is going to sound really shocking, but for me, when I saw that, I just thought, here we go. This is another video of a black individual being racially attacked, violated in America. I did not expect this to blow up the way it did, because, like I said, it's just another episode. It's just another individual being violated by the police, and for it to have exploded the way it did, it took me aback. It shocked me a little bit. Why do you think people have now decided to say enough is enough and start rioting and going crazy? What do you think has happened?
I don't think. Oh, go on, Shahin.
Go on.
I don't think people are sort of rioting now. Well, I think what it is, it's probably got a lot more attention in the media and it's become very mainstream. But I know that over the years, there's been a lot of people and organisations who never stopped campaigning. For Black Lives Matter. But I think when there's another incident, it's like what's just happened, it sort of relights that cause and gets a lot of people, just the general population who would have sort of stopped thinking about it. It sort of like comes to the forefront of their minds again, and they're sort of energized to take on this cause, because of course they feel outraged and they feel hurt and it shouldn't be happening.
And I think it gained a lot of attention, especially because I did watch a video of John Boyega, the Star Wars actor.
Yeah.
And he was quite honest.
He was very vocal about it, wasn't he?
He was very vocal,
and that's what took me aback. That's exactly what shocked me.
Exactly. So I think because of mainstream celebrities like John Boyega, who, and he was quite honest and candid about everything. He didn't hold back, even though he's associated with Disney and Star Wars. I mean, these are like global superpowers, if I'm honest with you. And he didn't hold back, and he was quite honest the way he came out with it. And I think that might have spurred on a bit of, might have encouraged people to speak up as well. Yeah. I don't believe that riots are the right thing to do.
Do you not?
Rioting is one, protesting absolutely, but rioting, whether shoplifting and looting, I think that's when it kind of it crosses the line of the integrity of what it is that you're trying to do. But protest peacefully, that's what should have happened. But clearly it's just boiled over now, hasn't it? It's gone to another level now.
It's funny you say that, because I would be at the forefront of encouraging those to rip the city apart.
Really,
and I'm not trying to be controversial. No, I'm not trying to be controversial at all. I want to break this down for you guys, and I want you to understand from the point of view that I'm coming from, and many people like me will be coming from. And here it is: a white officer has murdered a black gentleman in public in broad daylight, in the most gruesome fashion you can think of, by kneeling down on his neck. The guy's begging for the officer to let go of him. I can't breathe. And then he drifts out of consciousness, and he's still got his knees on his neck. The public are outraged. They've got their cameras and they're recording this whole thing. They're trying to stop the officer, and the guy doesn't seem to have any sort of remorse on him. Now, this is my argument. My argument is as follows. If the institutions of America, of American society, is failing its individuals, its citizens, if there are problems, there are cracks in the institutions that are there to support a civilized society, what are people meant to do? In my book, this is the way that I see it. If the police are attacking you and if they're supposed to be protecting you and they're doing the complete opposite, and you want change and you want the government to act, rip down every establishment that they've built and send the message out to them that, listen, we're not going to accept this kind of behavior. This is not going to be tolerated because you have set this establishment up for them to protect us, for them to, number one, first and foremost, protect us. Everything else is secondary. And for something like that to happen on American street in front of many witnesses is unheard of. And like I said, I mean, maybe I'm not articulating myself properly here, but I would encourage people to tear down establishments, loot, riot, don't hurt individuals, don't hurt people, don't harm other people. Like what they're doing to police officers, I totally disagree with, because you can't differentiate between who's a bad cop and who's a good cop until they've done something to you. But like we saw in London, where the riots happened in London, in the case of Mark Duggan, who was also killed by police officers, and riots completely took over. I think now since then, there has been a shift in attitude towards relationships between the urban community and the police. We've definitely seen that, I think. I don't know about you guys.
I think, yeah, over the years, because of high-profile cases, there has been a shift in policing and the way that they treat communities, ethnic communities, and black, and even in states, we've seen some change. But I do think unconscious bias is one of those things which is so hard to tackle, and I think it's still present, especially in America. And it's not just, I mean, police officers are people too, and I think unconscious bias is very much still present in the people of America. Even here in the UK, I think we have a long way to go to tackle that. And it's sad that things like this are still going on, but we need to speak up, and we need to talk about it and allow people to feel comfortable about talking about race and talking about cultural differences, talking about their unconscious bias. If we react with anger and, burn everything and break things, it's not going to allow people to open up, to ask questions, to integrate better. I think it starts to reverse what we're actually supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I agree with Iasha there as well. And if I'm honest, I get what you're saying about getting the attention, and if it is to go and riot, then I understand what you're trying to do, and that makes sense. But ultimately, it's about engagement and reaching out to the communities to start those discussions and conversations. And education as well, and it's not.
Education hugely. I agree with you.
And the police have a massive role to play, because you're right about the way they went about it was totally unacceptable, and there needs to be more training, more awareness amongst that group. And as Iasha said, it's not just the police officers. There are issues in society across all sectors. And racism is a big deal. It's a big thing, and it's almost like a taboo subject which no one likes to talk about, but it happens everywhere you go.
Yeah, you're right. It is a taboo subject, but here we are on the Tomato Podcast. Anything goes. So don't feel afraid about saying your opinions. And I just wanted to ask you guys, hand on heart, do you think the police is institutionally racist in America?
It's difficult for me to say,
of course, because you need to weigh up all of the cases.
I'm not close to American society and American policing or much of American culture. So I would say that I don't know enough to be able to give you an answer to that.
Yeah.
I could comment on the UK.
Yeah, I mean, okay, let's talk about the UK because it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, on one hand, we have a very, very similar sort of society with America, and on the other hand, it's completely different. So when it comes to the two sort of police forces, and I know in America as well, each state has its own different police state force as well. What do you think the relationship is like between our own metropolitan police with the, like I say, the urban community or just society as a whole? How transparent is it?
I think some things are better if the wider country don't know. In the interests of security or protecting victims and things like that. I think there's always going to be an element of the police needing to withhold information, and so that's just one side of it. And then I think my impression of police in the UK, I think they do a great job. They have a very, very difficult job to do. My sister Sadia, she works. She sort of works in that industry where she hears from a lot of people who work in the police and the types of stresses and trauma and things that they go through. And it's a hard job. And I think they do such a great job, and they've had their funding cut over and over.
And Shahin, have you ever experienced firsthand contact with the police, or just been witnessing any type of relationship with the police within your community in Birmingham?
Yeah, I mean, my brother-in-law, he's a police officer. And,
okay.
And so you kind of live and breathe that kind of experience. Someone's phone's ringing.
I'm sorry, he's my dog.
No, that's all right, Asha. That's fine.
That's fine. So,
I have to go.
That's fine. Yeah, you can leave us. Thank you very much for coming onto the show. Really, really appreciate your time. You've actually given me 40 more minutes than you should have. So I really appreciate that. Hopefully, if you do come down to London...
My partner was a little late.
That's fine. I apologise. Do send my regards and my apology as well. If you do come down to London, let me know. And likewise, if I come up to Manchester, I'll let you know. And hopefully we can meet up for some coffee or something. I don't drink coffee, but, maybe a drink.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you so much. It's been lovely to speak to you and great to catch up with you, Shahin.
Yeah, all right, we'll catch up soon, yeah?
Yeah, right, definitely. All right. Enjoy the rest of the podcast. Bye.
Thank you. Sorry, yeah, as you were saying, so you've got your brother-in-law.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not an easy job, if I'm honest with you. And what makes him really cool is he's a Hafiz as well.
Okay.
Right? So you've got like an imam who's also a police officer, and engaging with the youngsters in the community is a huge challenge.
Of course.
And what you see in America, what's going on? You asked the question about is it institutionally, is it racist and whatnot? Law's the law, but people are the key drivers, to drive the good behaviors into the police force, and that is probably the challenge. Is the behavioral aspect, and that's going to be a challenge, I think. But overall, it's not an easy job to do as well. They've got a tough job to and they serve us, they protect us. It's not easy.
No, absolutely not. And I think one of the main problems with American society is that it starts from the very top, doesn't it? So you've got this fool at the top, Donald Trump, who runs the country, and then anything he says, it all trickles down. So, and we're really seeing the consequences of that. And actually, Minneapolis has had its fair share of problems with the police in the past. So this isn't something new. This has been happening for a very long time. But it's only just erupted now. And it fascinates me to see why it's only just erupted now. And I really do believe that this guy has the biggest role to play in why it's happened. And it's amazing to hear some of the things that he's been saying. Oh, yeah, thanks. So my dad just interrupted me. I don't know what he was actually saying. No, it's amazing to see some of the things that he's saying, rather than being empathetic and trying. Did you say what he said?
No, what did he say?
He said it's getting cold. Close the window because I'm in my car. The best place that I find to record is in the car because of it's soundproof.
Yes.
But it's like, bruv, it's like 24 degrees. What do you mean close the windows? So no, as I was saying, rather than focusing on sort of bringing the community together, his first thought is to send in the army against looters and whatnot, etc., etc. Do you think racism will ever end in America?
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
And it's down to individuals, the institutions reaching out and engaging with the communities, and it's a two-way street, if I'm honest. And the only way we're going to improve the relationships between communities and the institutions is by dialogue and engagement, and being open and honest about the issues that we have on the streets, and how do we go about addressing those, okay, and then putting in plans in place to improve those relationships, and it could be because of schooling, it could be because of financially some areas may be less privileged. So how do we tackle those issues as well? And it's about how do we integrate those communities as well.
But we've been trying for years. This has been, society has been trying to fix this divide, not only in America, in the UK as well. And I feel like it's getting worse. And we are slowly drifting back to a point where being racially offensive was a norm. And I don't know about you, I don't know what it's like in Birmingham, but certainly in London, and certainly with my own personal experience with society and life, I feel like it's becoming more prevalent for human beings to feel more comfortable to speak out against their feelings towards ethnic minorities or towards anyone who is other than you. What's it like for you in Birmingham?
If I'm honest with you, in Birmingham it's very multicultural, and I think everyone's quite accepting, and everybody gets along. So personally, I haven't had that experience. I don't know what your experience is like in London, but even when I was in London, or when I do go to London, I've not experienced that sort of behavior, or I've read things and I've seen things on videos and whatnot, but me personally, I have not had that experience. There is an underlying racism issue, and you'll get it, I think, wherever you go. It's not just in the UK or in America. You'll get it wherever you go, I think. But it's all about dialogue and engagement with the communities, and also first and foremost, we're all human beings. We need to learn to accept one another for who we are, what we do, what our beliefs are, and and have a respect for one another. And that's really important in the community. And also, it starts in the schools as well, and in the homes, because if a family household has a certain belief, and they harbor this racist culture, then that will go into the schools, and that can spread that way. So there's an education that's needed, and it probably needs to be part of some sort of curriculum as well, just like religious education is. I don't know whether they should have something on racism.
Yeah. You see, what really annoys me in the society that we live in is that it's such a touchy topic to talk about these kind of things. It's so taboo that we don't feel comfortable enough to talk to each other about race, about being different to one another, and why it is that we feel not necessarily afraid, but why we feel so distant to one another, because we don't see eye to eye when it comes to, you know, cultural differences or norms and values and things like that. And that's, you know, I don't know when that social barrier will be broken, but it doesn't seem like for me, it all starts from the top. It all starts from the top of the head. Sorry, the head of the house. And the head of the house is the government, right? In the UK, in America, wherever it be. But I feel like the way politics is heading right now, it's heading in a place where everything is about party politics. Everything is about points. Everything's about winning. There's nothing really where I can't see any individual trying to sort of bridge this gap between politicians and your everyday, you know, layman. And, you know, we saw it with Brexit. We're seeing it now with coronavirus. You know, whether they're doing the right thing or not to ease the lockdown, the way that I'm seeing it, the way that it's being presented to me, is that it's a very, very political issue. And unless they ease the lockdown, they're not going to be able to bring the economy back to where it was. And, you know, people will criticize the party if they don't, etc., etc. And yeah, this is a wide issue. Personally, do I feel like racism will ever end globally? No. Because we live in such a complicated world. Everything is in such a mess. Nothing is perfect. I mean, the way the world was built is perfect, but then human beings came around and started putting their own little twist here and there. And here we are. Here we find ourselves, human civilization, in the midst of a pandemic and, you know, riots and lootings. So, sorry to put a damper on it.
No, I get your point, and I think, as I said earlier, it's all about engagement and dialogue, and you can only do that if both, you know, the institutions, you know, understand and accept that there is an issue, and then reach out to those communities, because that's the only way. Yeah, and integration is really, really important, and it starts at home and education. So I think there's an opportunity. So we should all work towards that. And it's all about respecting one another.
You know what I'm really scared about at the minute? And, you know, after this whole thing happened with George Floyd, I don't know about you, but I definitely saw a massive divide, like even bigger so, between the black community and everyone else. And for me, that is really concerning. That's really worrying, because, like, when, I don't know if you remember, but when Christchurch happened in New Zealand, that was something that shook me quite a bit, because it was during that time there was quite a lot of Islamophobia happening in and around the UK as well. And so when that happened, you know, it shook me. Like I was really quite, I don't know, it made me feel numb. And I felt really, really upset, and I felt really, really angry, and I felt really, really, I wanted to separate myself from anyone who wouldn't acknowledge the pain that I was going through. And obviously, you know, that was then, this is now. But what I'm really scared about is that when we get to a point where a community decides to completely isolate itself because they're feeling this enormous amount of pain and suffering. No one else can really feel it. I can't feel it. You can't feel it, because we're not part of that community. No one could have felt the pain that I felt during Christchurch, because they're not part of that community. And what worries me is that when we get to a point where we need to we're trying so hard to bring people back together, but when things like this happen, you know, one community decides to say, right, if you're not going to support our movement, you know, fuck off, kind of thing. And I hear what you're saying about, you know, we need to educate ourselves. We need to have a conversation. A dialogue needs to happen. But it's like, you know, I just don't think having a dialogue is enough. And I don't know. I feel like we're at a crossroad right now where nobody really knows what to do. Things are happening, but there hasn't been a successful route in tackling the problem. It's similar with Israel and Palestine, really. Actually, not really similar. It's completely different. But it's like, what other than dialogue? What other route is there? Any other route other than dialogue, or should the things that are happening right now happen? Should there be lootings and riots in order to actually move, like, for the greater good kind of thing?
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying, and I still believe that engagement and dialogue, funding for those communities, and also addressing that certain institutions may need to review their policies, their way of doing things, and having an audit trail to ensure that everybody is trained adequately to if someone is going to make an arrest, then it needs to be unbiased. It needs to have it needs to follow a set of rules, without having this racial intent, if there was, or if there is a racial intent. Clearly what happened a few days ago was unacceptable, and and the full law was on this police officer, and I think he's been charged with
third-degree murder and manslaughter, I think it was.
So justice there. However, unfortunately, it's not going to bring back George Floyd. But
this is a lot bigger than George Floyd, isn't it? I hate to put it that way. Yeah. I hate to put it that way, but this is not about an individual who was brutally killed, because it happens all the time. This is about white privilege in broad daylight. That, I mean, when you I can't really put it into words, but it's like, where did we get to a point where a police officer thought it was acceptable to suffocate someone in public so normally, and then not be arrested for it, but lose his job first, and then only after social pressure, where the government thought, we have to charge this guy.
That was wrong. I accept. Yeah. I think what that police officer did, nor did his colleagues do anything. That was wrong, totally wrong, and and rightly so. He's being charged with murder. That's not acceptable, and that needs to be looked at. If there is behaviour like that, and there is across the states in America, that definitely needs to be looked at, and maybe because of the rioting that's happened, which I don't agree with, that it should be peaceful. Maybe that has sparked a review into some of these institutions, and that's the only way it's going to get addressed.
Well, we're yet to see how this is going to play out. I feel like there's a long time before. I mean, I feel like this is going to erupt 10 times bigger than what's already happening. Like I said, I do feel like it's going to be very similar to what we saw in London. I don't know how many years ago it was, but during summer, where Tottenham High Street was completely ruined, obliterated. So anyways, I think we will put an end to this conversation about Black Lives Matter. Just lastly, there seems to be two sort of sides of this debate, where it be Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter. Where do you stand in this specific debate? Is it acceptable for people to bring up All Lives Matter during a debate where we're talking about the black community specifically? What's your standpoint on that?
Look, what's happened in America is unacceptable, and my view is that all lives matter, if I'm honest with you. And society have various different issues, and those things need to be addressed. Clearly, that needs to be looked at. But I think all lives matter.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. I tend to agree with you in the broad scheme of things. Yes, all lives matter. Of course, we're all human beings. We all need to live together in this beautiful world that we've ruined. But I think there is an argument to have about specifically not just Black Lives Matter, but ethnic minority, specifically ethnic minority, because I don't think that, I mean, yes, the black citizens in America who are African American, Caribbean are definitely penalized, or not, I wouldn't say definitely, but they are more so penalized because of the color of their skin in more occasions than white people, than white citizens. But I feel like globally, I feel like there's this attitude that white people or white privilege oversees ethnic minorities because of the fact that they are ethnic minorities. Or again, maybe I'm just being very sort of biased towards that view because of the experiences that I've had. I don't know how you sort of view that point.
If I'm honest with you, I mean, throughout my experiences, I've just gone ahead and done what I have wanted to do.
Yeah.
I've never put, my ethnicity first, if that makes sense, or any of the opportunities that have been given to me or what I've gone for. Yeah, and I don't think people should think about that first, but that's my personal opinion. And you should go in without any kind of reference to that, and do whatever it is that you plan to do, without having that stigma, if I'm honest. But I do recognize that there is an issue, and which is why you have a lot of BAME groups out there who are out there to support one another and give that guidance. So yeah, and it's only when you start speaking to people and opening up that you realize that there is a community of BAME people out there who can help you, put you at ease, especially if you're working in a corporate environment or if you're working in your local coffee shop or whatever. So yeah, I recognize what you're saying. But yeah,
we need to be a bit more open-minded about these kind of things.
I think so. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Listen, we're gonna leave it there because we've gone into different sort of layers.
Yeah, it went quite deep.
Yeah, it was quite deep, wasn't it? And for a show that's not supposed to be that deep, it went really quite deep. No, I'm joking. Like I said, we chat about anything and everything. I'm just thank you very much, Pfizer and Ihan, for not being here. You guys did an amazing job at that. My co-hosts. Usually, it is a bundle of joy, and you have been a bundle of joy. Thank you very, very, very much for sparing your time to be here. Do you want to plug anything you're working on at the minute?
Yes, so I'm working also in Birmingham. I'm based in central Birmingham. Obviously, I offer consultancy services to companies out there, but I also have got a venue called the Ivy Suite. So that's going to be available to hire out if you've got a special occasion or if you've got a conference you want to do, then you can hire the venue out. And then obviously my Tiger Chai, it's a urban coffee place which will be offering street food and desserts, and if you have a restaurant or a hotel and you need laundry, textiles, linen, then you can contact me directly, and I can service your restaurant in the Midlands. So yeah,
sweet man, you got a lot going on. You got a busy plate, haven't you?
I like to keep busy. Yeah,
good. All right, wonderful, awesome. Amazing. Okay. Thank you very, very much, Shahin, again,
Thanks
for
having
coming
me
on to the show. Really appreciate your time. Hopefully we can actually meet up for a coffee or something.
Definitely. Come down to Birmingham.
Yeah, I do want to actually come down to the new place. Was it Chai?
Awesome. Tiger Chai.
Tiger Chai, yes, Tiger Chai. And I see what you've done there. You've put the tiger there because the national animal is a tiger for Bangladesh, right?
To be honest with you, I mean, I like tigers, and I've just got
Really? So it's just a coincidence?
Yeah. I love tigers, and yeah.
Okay. Well, I like the name. It's a very nice name.
Awesome.
Tiger Chai. And I like the logo as well. It reminds me of, the Asians, they eat pan and then...
Yeah. I tried to give it a retro Asian feel. So
yeah. No, you've done well. It's really nice. And like I said, I'm looking forward to coming down to see it.
Awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us on another episode of the Tomato Podcast, episode 47. We've had today Iasha and Shahin from The Apprentice, who have done an amazing job. You guys can listen to us on any of the major platforms, the podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, and the rest. We have even got a website. That's right, you heard it. We've got a website. We are moving up in the world. www.thetomatopodcast.com, and you can find all of our podcasts where they are on a web page called Listen to Us, I think. I don't know. We made it a couple of weeks ago. But we will be back again in a couple of weeks, and we've got another special guest lined up. That's right, people. The budget has increased. I keep telling you, the budget has increased. We've got guests, guys. Yeah, we're mainstream now. Do you understand what we've accomplished here? We've actually got 2 people from The Apprentice, a BBC show. Yeah? Who would have thought? Who would have thought this would have happened? But yeah, thank you very much for all your support. Like, share, and yeah, we will see you guys next week. Peace. Thank you.
Cheers.